Karoline, any more details on the 5 people that have been arrested regarding vandalism here?
The vandalism is very real, despite what Tim Walz wants to say. It's an imaginary problem. No, it is not. It's a very real problem. In fact, I spoke with the National Park Service.
Oh, that's great. So it's a very real problem. Hopefully, the Trump administration is finally coming out and unveiling the evidence that some vandalism took place at the reflecting pool at all, because it doesn't seem like any has taken place at all. But even more importantly, that it took place prior to the reflecting pool getting screwed up, filling with algae, and having the sealant come undone, and that vandalism is causally connected to all of those problems with the reflecting pool. So hopefully all of the MAGA dum-dums on X are correct, and I'm going to have to eat my hat. And now Karoline Leavitt is going to unveil this evidence. Let's see what the evidence is.
Just before joining the show, they now have 17 police reports that have been filed in just the matter of a few days. There's actually been 6 arrests at the reflecting pool, where again, these deranged individuals, many of them longtime donors to the Democrat Party, to Barack Obama, to Act Blue, that have been vandalizing and desecrating our federal monument, one of the most beautiful monuments in the world, the reflecting pool. And that's why President Trump is not going to stop with this effort. We're going to not only hold those people accountable, but we're going to fix the pool, continue to make it beautiful from this despicable vandalism, just in time to celebrate our nation's 250th birthday next week.
Okay, so I'm arguing that we are in uncharted waters in terms of a midterm election. What I mean by that is...
Okay, so I already watched this. He's not going to ask a follow-up question. He's just going to let her get away with that, and they're moving on to something else. She provided no evidence whatsoever. All that she did was conclusorily state that vandalism took place, which is questionable in itself, whether or not any legally recognizable vandalism took place at all at the reflecting pool. But everyone knows that the key question is whether or not vandalism took place that is causally connected to the issues with the reflecting pool. She provided no evidence of that whatsoever. All that she did was engage in ad hominem attacks against the Democrats and against the Democrat proxies that they have surrounding the reflecting pool, and they have signs and they're dressed up like frogs and whatnot. What does that have to do with the specific details of what transpired? Okay, I don't see any reasonable explanation for why she can't provide some evidence, why the Trump administration can't provide some evidence of the actual vandalism that took place that's causally connected to the problems with the reflecting pool. Why wouldn't you just show the evidence? It doesn't make any sense. It's not some sort of issue with, well, this is top secret information that has broader implications. It should be an open and shut case in terms of prosecuting the offenders, so it doesn't make any sense that the prosecution would want to sit on the evidence for a while to make sure that, for example, a murderer doesn't get off because of, a prosecution protocol that was a little bit too laxed. This is just basic bitch vandalism, if it actually transpired, that you should have no issue providing evidence for to the public, especially since this is a PR nightmare for Trump. Okay, so let's just pull out Occam's razor. What is the simplest explanation for what's happening here? The simplest explanation is the mob boss looking guy who Trump hired to fix up the reflecting pool did a terrible job. He screwed it up, and it started to grow algae, and it started the sealant started to come undone, and then subsequent to that, people saw it, and it became a news story. And then some people went and said, hey, I'm going to go take pictures. I'm going to post it on X. I'm going to fiddle with the pool. I'm going to put my hand in the pool. I'm even going to get me a little trophy. I'm going to peel a piece of the sealant off that's already coming undone. And then the Democrat machine capitalized on that PR nightmare and started sending people in costumes with signs and so on and so forth. And then Trump said, hey, this is a PR disaster. What are we going to do about it? And the solution they came up with was, well, we're being given the solution handed to us on a silver platter. The solution is right in front of our face. We'll call everything that the Democrats are doing vandalism. Hey, you put your hand in the pool. That's vandalism. Hey, you ripped a piece of that already peeling paint off. That's vandalism. We'll define that as vandalism. Probably the prosecution won't stick, but by the time the case gets dismissed, this isn't a news story anymore. So we'll call that vandalism, and then we'll go out and we'll send Karoline Leavitt out and say, it's despicable, it's vandalism, why would you do this? These guys are crazy. And we'll pretend like the vandalism is causally connected to the issues with the reflecting pool. And because there's some element of truth to what's happening, hey, people really did put their hands in the pools, and it seems like there could be some plausible, possible way that this actually occurred. All of the MAGA dum-dums will lock on to this story, and they'll parrot this bullshit around on X and in their households and so forth, and then Trump can just walk away from this in 2 weeks or a month or whatever it takes when this news story dies. And then it'll be up to the historians to look back and say, yeah, that was probably all bullshit, which is bad enough. It's bad enough that Trump is lying, just total fabrication to the American people when there's no justification for it other than himself saving face. But it's worse than that because they've already arrested multiple people. Why? Not because they engaged in vandalism, most likely, in my opinion, but because if they did that, then they could hang their hat on the fact, oh, look, there's arrest, so there must have been vandalism. And then when anybody asks, but probably no one ever will because the Trump administration isn't going to have any tough interviews, but if anybody ever asks, so hey, what about the causal connection? Did the vandalism actually cause any of the damage? Well, they'll probably just walk off the set like Trump did the 2 weeks ago. So this whole thing is disgusting. It's disgusting to arrest people just to have Trump save face and to basically chill speech, I guess, in some sense. So that's my take on this.